here we are with the director of F20, a film that hopefully you just saw. Arson, this is an amazing film. Uh, in the thriller drama genre. Uh, you know, I just found your film to be completely engaging from the first frame to the last. I love how the story is so fresh in many ways and gets into these young people's lives, I think at a much more real and much more authentic level than most Hollywood fare would go. And yet at the same time, I think technically your film, I would put it on par with anything that Hollywood's putting out as far as quality of the cinematography and the performances. It feels like a, you know, the old terms we used to use of B movie, A movie. Feels like a pure A movie.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's really wonderful to hear this because this was done as a low budget film against the system, you know, film that was not supported by the Croatian Audiovisual Center, was done with, you know, private money. We, for peanuts, you know, we had to cut corners. We had to ask people to work for free or really for, you know, almost nothing. Equipment was for free, but you know, we wanted to make a real, you know, real thriller, real genre film. We didn't want our financial situation to be reflected on a screen. Um, and as you mentioned acting, um, the three leads are basically for the first time in front of a camera. Romina, who plays Martina, is for the very first time in front of a camera, literally. She's done nothing. The other girl, her friend, Irena, for the first time in front of a camera. The lead guy, Philip, this is his first lead role. He's done one supporting role till that moment. So it was a labor of love. Um, I
That's
gathered.
incredible. I want to jump in. That's incredible to me. And so it makes me want to ask about your casting process because all three give amazing performances. Um, and if you, I guarantee that if we had the pleasure of sitting in the theater in Sherman Oaks with 75 people raising hands, asking questions, I bet a lot of people in that theater would be thinking, well, this was a big budget Croatian film, and those kids are probably like big TV stars in Croatia because they're
Well,
so good.
well, they were not. I mean, they are now. You know, now everybody knows about them. Um, and you know, Croatian films are by default always the low budget films comparing to Hollywood. I mean, rarely budget of a normal Croatian film exceeds $1 million. Rarely, almost never. This was done for a fraction of that you know, price. Um, and regarding the casting, you know, when I decided to do F20, and the screenplay was written by a person who actually won a screenplay competition in Croatia, which I run. I run that competition for young and undiscovered artists to help them. Actually, that competition was started by Hartley Merrill, uh, uh, Dina, Dina Merrill and Ted Hartley from RKO Pictures from LA. Very interesting. So the screenplay has won competition maybe, I don't know, 10 years, 12 years ago. And I always remember that script because there was something interesting, the way it was written. It speaks about schizophrenia, but the way it was written was kind of schizophrenic, you know, jumping in time, which I liked. Uh, and a few years ago, when I decided to do a film, you know, I called the writer. I said, "Listen, let's do it. Let's do it as a, you know, indie film without the Croatian Audiovisual Center, and let's see what we can do." And I knew that I will have to cast, you know, unknown young actors because the characters were 19, 20 years old. And, we don't have professional actors who are 19 years old. Um, Sometimes we have actors who just enrolled in acting schools. Um, so I started my search, and I was lucky because I met Romina, who plays Martina. I met her at a provincial acting school. She just enrolled, and I saw her first semester performance, and I said I like her, and I invited her to audition, and I knew she would be good, and she was good. And Philip was also enrolled in the first year of the acting academy in Zagreb, which is the capital of Croatia. And I also knew that he's the guy. He did the audition, but he got it. And also Irena, Lana, and she was amateur, not a professional, not even a student.
I was going to ask, did you screen test them?
Yes, I did. I always do that because camera never lies. Sometimes you might be very subjective about somebody, but you should always see the person on screen, and then that's what it is. That's the real result, and the results show that they are good. That I should cast them, and I'm glad. I always act by my intuition, I have to say.
Where your intuition is great because yeah, they have for young performers on screen, they just have that intangible element that Hollywood has been chasing for about 70 years of just who is just charismatic and photogenic on camera, and they've got it.
Yes, yes. They already got awards for their acting. Philip got the award in Italy and in the States recently, and Romina got the award uh, in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles Film Festival Awards. So yeah, it's it their careers started in Croatia. So we'll see. And
I want to focus back on you though. So I think it's so wonderful that that script that you'd read stayed with you so long, and that many years later you decided to invest your energy into it. Was it the schizophrenia or the fact that it's such a cool modern Bonnie and Clyde sort of point of view, or what drew you to it most?
this the latter, that it's kind of a Bonnie and Clyde modern, you know, uh, tale. I like the characters. I like this. I like the storytelling, and also I realized that I could do it as a low budget film. There are films that you should not do as a low budget films. This one was demanding, but I knew that I could control it. I'm director. I'm producer of the film as well, together with my partner. But I'm primarily director, But I produce out of necessity, when I have to, which is unfortunately often. I wish I could just lay back and let somebody else produce and I just direct, but unfortunately it's not possible in many cases. So yeah, that's what drew me to the project, and also something else. My previous three films were kind of serious dramas. They dealt with the political situation in Croatia, with the situation in Bosnia after the war. They were deep, meaningful films. By the way, all three films were official Oscar candidates. And I said, well, this is, I don't want to make any more deep, meaningful dramas. Let me do something different, something completely different. Let me do a genre. And let me do something that doesn't have any daily politics, no social issues, no, nothing. just love, singing, dancing, chases, blood, regular stuff. And that's what I liked about it.
Well, I think your depth still comes through because besides the fact that it is a great thrill ride, just a fantastic ride and thoroughly enjoyable, but there's still intergenerational conflicts and parenting. There's still things in there that actually add emotional depth that make the thrill ride. I think it makes it part of a greater whole, I would say.
And thank you. That's very smart observation, because here in Croatia, when we advertised the film, we wanted to say that, yeah, it's a film about young people, for young people, but it's also for parents. So the parents should watch this film. What can happen, you know? So thank you for noticing that.
Well, and your father character, what a great actor he is.
So what I did for all the adults, those are my friend actors. All of them appeared in my previous films. So I asked them, hey, could you please help me out and be in my act for a few days, and they all agreed, because they didn't have to be on a set for too long. They agreed to come for a day or 2, 3 days. Yeah, the father, Mladen, his name, Mladen Vulic. Yeah, the father character is had to be for 2 weeks, but he actually wanted to play the part. He really insisted. He liked it a lot, and because he's a kind of tough-looking guy, I like that, because at the end he softens. He realizes what he's done. So I wanted to have that contrast in his character.
Yeah. He does a wonderful job of being hard and angry at times and soft and just very realistic, really. Parenting, anyone who's parented knows there's times when after the fact you're like, wow, that I actually was a little too hard. But
Yeah, well, thanks. And also another thing is I was making jokes because some of my well-known actors, friends, I mean, they're out of focus throughout the entire film, and so I was joking with them. I'll say, hey, I would tell them, hey, stay in focus, all right? You know, what are you doing? You're not focused. You see what's going on. You're blurred. You know.
so
So
funny, yeah, because they're never in the background, are they? In normal.
yeah, I mean, then they're always lead actors in most cases, but it was fine, of course. I mean, they were glad they could help, and I just wanted to have a different approach, visually.
Well, I was going to ask one question. I'm sure if we got to watch this in the theater of Sherman Oaks, I'm sure someone would raise their hand and ask the basic questions about like how long was your shoot? Because my God, so many locations, uh, cars, clubs. It looks like a big
Yeah.
undertaking.
Yes, we shot it in two parts. First, the summer shoot, uh, and then the fall shoot. Why? Because of the money, and also not to burden the crew. It was easier to get them, for 20 days and then later for like 12 days. So the shoot was about 30, let's say 34 days total, including some second unit shots, um, which is, maybe for some indie film, it's a lot. For normal film, that's nothing. So 34 days, and we shot it in widescreen. And unfortunately, yes, it would have been better if the film was screened in a theater, but that's what it is. The cinematographer, the DP, was a friend of mine who did my previous two films, and also I had a help from a great guy who is also a stunt coordinator. So this is why we dared to make the car chase scene through the city which is also not done on low budget films. You will rarely, if ever, see a stunt scene in low budget films, especially car chase scene, but it was done properly. 2 days of rehearsals, 2 days of filming, ambulance was there all the time, police blocking the roads, etc., etc., and about almost a dozen stunt people driving and running around. And it was the most expensive scene, but it was worth it, because I didn't want to have just a talking heads or kind of a thriller with just suspense. I wanted to have a real visual attraction in the film, and yeah, critics noticed that as well.
Yeah, I mean, and did it just happen to be raining? Were you lucky on the rain? Because the rain, to me, adds so much when they jump out of the car and they're soaking wet.
Rain was ours.
Really?
It was done. It's a
With
special
the
effect.
machines, with the
All 9 yards. You
wow.
know, with it was a special effects rain. You can't. I mean, it has to. If you want to get a rain uh, on film, I mean, it has to pour to be visible, and it's rarely. And when it's raining, you cannot film because the rest of your crew gets soaked and your equipment, everything. So it has to be done for special effects. So if it looked real, it's a kind of compliment.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's another one of the production value elements. I think you made just brilliant decisions as a director and a producer, but as a director, just choosing where to put your budget and make this just feel like, I don't think anyone would watch this and feel like they're watching low budget. Not that that's the biggest goal, but you should say that was a goal. I mean, this film is just I would say it's better than most of the thrillers I see coming out of Hollywood these days, especially because you pull us in with the characters. But yeah, the scenes out in his cabin, the threat of violence is always real. I think it's just wonderfully done.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's very nice of you, and I hope the audiences will also like it. You know.
I'm sure they will. All our jury gave it wonderful marks. Um, well, before we wrap up, I imagine you did get a lot of help on this. Is there anyone who didn't come up while we were chatting who you'd like to mention?
Um, well, I mentioned the screenwriter, I mentioned the DP, I mentioned my stunt coordinator, actors, wonderful actors, almost all of them. I mean, the entire crew uh, was com- was composed by professionals that I asked to come and work for peanuts, and I'm grateful to all of them. I mean, this is a collective effort, and yeah, I might have been a conductor and the leader, but without all of them, the cast and crew, I wouldn't be able to pull this off, you know. So I can just say thank you to all, and I'm glad, if audiences can feel this passion that was behind the project.
I think they absolutely can, and I love the image of the conductor because obviously a lot of times that's the director's job, is to make sure every artist is performing to the best of their ability within the symphony.
Correct. I know it. And
So
I wish there would be somebody in the audience who would watch the film, who is producer in the States, and who would want to do a remake, because this is kind of universal story. It can happen anywhere. It can happen in LA. It can happen in, I don't know, Mongolia, in Australia, in Papua New Guinea, I think. So, well, let's hope.
absolutely. All right. Well, it was a
And
pleasure to talk to you. I'm sorry that I have to run, but wonderful film
thank
and
you.
thoroughly enjoyable, as well as an accomplishment technically and artistically. It's also just fun. And
That's what we wanted, to make it a fun film.
yeah.
Thank you.
And thank God she was okay in the end, because I would
She was okay.
she was okay.
Just a makeup, just a film blood,
Yeah, actually your makeup department did wonderful work.
Yeah. Well,
But
you have to have professionals, that's one of the things, if you don't have professionals, then your film can look low budget,
yeah. And it's great you gave all these people in the Croatian film industry an opportunity to flex their muscles a bit. And yeah, hopefully people in America will see it. Hopefully we can get some eyeballs on it. And
Thank, thank you
I
once again.
wish you the best with it moving forward. Hopefully it I would love to, I have that, obviously when you work on at a film festival, you do want everyone in the world to see the films you like.
Well, I'm very grateful to you and your team, to the festival for selecting the film, and I wish you all the best with the
Thank you.
festival.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Likewise.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Goodbye.